What is good, boys? We are back, and it is absolutely freezing out here. According to Google, it feels like negative 10 degrees outside, so I am going to hurry my ass off into the gym. We are driving on some slick-ass roads in the Mustang, so love that. But I had a question for you guys. So, for thumbnails on these videos, I'm never completely sure what exactly I should do. I mean, I could just keep throwing up physique pics for the thumbnails and maybe type it in like a brief title, but do you guys have any suggestions? I'm not looking for an editor, just maybe some ideas from you guys. Now, let's get into the gym stuff. In the gym today, we're doing the same weight as last week. We're doing 325. But rather than doing a single triple like we were doing last week, we're now ramping up the volume because we want to start accumulating fatigue. Because if you guys didn't know, part of a peak in powerlifting is building a bunch of fatigue. That way, when you do your deload week, which is called a taper in powerlifting, or more so not a deload, a reload week, it's on most of the time when you deload, you get untrained, your body gets detrained, and your body's not used to heavy weight afterwards, so you have to slowly ramp back in. But if you build an excessive amount of fatigue before that, then you are going to do much better. You're not going to get detrained, you're just going to cut the fatigue, and your body's training, or your body's going to feel like it can move the heaviest weight possible. So that's why we are ramping up the volume now. So we're doing 3 singles at 325. I am a little sore actually from my last bench day. Just a slight bit because I pushed overhead press pretty heavy. So we're gonna see how it moves. I think it should keep flying, moving amazing. Hopefully it moves even better than last week, even though I think that's being very optimistic because last week it moved absurdly good. But another thing, the national record I was going for, I thought I had to hit 402 to get it. I actually have to hit 407, or if I want to be cheap, kind of like really just barely one-up it, I could do 405, but I'd way rather just up it by 5 pounds, make it seem a little cooler, a bit more than just upping it by 2 pounds. It seems like some weird shit to me. So I'm only gonna do that if I think those 2 more pounds are gonna make me fail. So let's get into the gym today. In the gym, I will explain more what this video is going to be about and what we are going to talk about. I have decided that in today's video, I'm not gonna talk about the lift as much as I'm gonna talk about something else. Now, most of my videos, I'm showing you something actively in the gym, really talking about what I'm going through. But I realized that I haven't exactly explained what a peaking process is and what the goal of it even is. Obviously, it is to get yourself super strong, ready for a competition, but what about it preps you for a competition? You guys know you do a lot of 1 reps, but there's a lot more to it than just that. So that's what I'm gonna be explaining to you guys today. Supercompensation is around 3 things: performance, fatigue, and momentum. I've talked about momentum previously. That's why I'm doing singles, because I want to build momentum, progressively get closer and closer to the weight I want to hit after this phase is complete, after the peaking process is complete. Now, is supercompensation real? It's just a theory, but it has a lot of reason behind it. Now, the idea behind it is the more you lift and the more you train, the more fatigued you're gonna get. But the more you lift a certain weight, the more your body's going to get used to that weight. So you could see your performance, your body's performance under that weight is going up, but your fatigue is also going up. So it's not going to move better because you're just gonna be more fatigued. Now, there's this idea that if you drive your fatigue to a certain level, what's gonna happen, it's gonna create a graph-looking effect. It's eventually gonna start going down and your lifts are gonna start dropping due to that fatigue. And then when you cut that fatigue, your body is gonna maintain the same performance under that 1 rep. So you're gonna lose all the fatigue and you're gonna jump above baseline to what we call supercompensation. That is the idea behind it. I'm going to explain a bit more on how we build the fatigue and how we make sure our performance stays maximized during this period. Now first, I'm going to talk about fatigue. So for fatigue, you basically can't get too much fatigue unless you injure yourself. So when you think about it, you can't just go straight into a million sets of whatever you're doing. You're gonna end up getting injured if you do that day after day after day after day and don't have any plan on going into it and just keep your body slammed for weeks and weeks straight. So the best way to go about it is actually starting off really easy on your body and progressively adding fatigue. So every week adding a set or adding weight or doing whatever is going to help you develop a lot more fatigue in a lot safer way. And it's also going to give you a lot more opportunities to practice being under that heavy weight, because if you start off by slamming your body right away, going way too hard on your body, then you're just gonna develop the fatigue. You're gonna have to go lighter because you're not as strong, and you're not gonna be as close to your comp weight or your PR weight if you're just going in the gym. So go ahead and increase your weight over time, increase the amount of sets you have over time. And then the taper, or when you cut the fatigue, it's also different from a normal deload. Now on a normal deload, when you cut the fatigue, that means you're gonna go super light, you're gonna reduce the sets. What you do on this instead is you reduce the sets significantly, you remove all accessories except for compounds, and then on these compounds, you keep the intensity relatively high. So a little bit less intense than you were before, but you still wanna have high intensity. It shouldn't feel like an easy set that you just completed. It should feel like something where it's heavy, but I'm only doing a few sets of this, maybe 3 singles on bench that are at my opener weight. I could hit it for 3 total reps. I did it 3 times at a single, and that's my gym session for today. This is going to let you cut fatigue because you're reducing the amount of sets you're doing, you're reducing volume, taking out accessories. So you reduce the fatigue, you keep your body trained, and you prep your body for a max out day. Now the con to this is that you have to deload after this because you don't truly remove all fatigue. So when you PR after this, then you have to go into another deload. But that's why you don't do it if you're not gonna PR, but it's great, works perfectly if you're going into a PR after doing a peaking phase. Now, normally this process takes about 2 weeks. You hit your heaviest sets and your highest volume on your 3rd week out of that max out day. All right, 315 is flying. Super excited for our 330 today, which I know is also gonna fly. Hopefully 330 moves better than 325 last week. We keep that momentum going. As of now, I'm really confident of benching 400s in this meet. National record is going to be ours. We just gotta secure it, gotta stay consistent, and I wanna maximize my recovery from this session, so I'm gonna do the sauna technique that I've mentioned in my growth hormone video. Growth hormone is what boosts your recovery, so that's gonna really make sure I go into next week feeling amazing. So I'm really confident that I'm gonna bench about 407 in this coming meet. Going to be awesome. As far as total, I'm aiming for a 1500 total. I don't know exactly where my squat and bench or deadlift are gonna be, but I know they're gonna be around 500 to 550. Deadlift is moving really weird. Right now, I think I might out squat my deadlift. I might end up deadlifting like 520 and squatting 530, which would just be weird. That's besides the point. What we really care about right now is the national record, optimizing our recovery for that. So I'm gonna hit this 330, gonna lock in, stay as tight as possible, and make this bar really move easily like it's weightless, because 315 is the new 135. .330 moved extremely light. Felt really good about that. I had a few more reps in the tank easily, probably RPE 5. Once again, 5 more reps in the tank. But what am I learning from that? Because I have 2 more sets, I wanna at least optimize something, pick out something that I wanna fix. I think I could have created a little bit more tension stemming from my legs, really keeping my body more stable and driven. I was more focused on the bar positioning and really exploding up than maintaining that tension throughout my body that I've talked about in previous videos. So in this next set, I'm gonna really focus on maintaining that tension throughout the entire set, really making sure I'm able to explode up out of the hole. So I just got the question on one of my videos, why do I not just consistently go heavy, go towards RPE 10 as heavy as I can, prepping for the comp so I can get as specific to that weight as possible and get as close to the comp weight as possible every single session getting ready for this competition? Now, the answer is pretty simple. It's nothing crazy. Something I've talked about briefly already in this video. And the reason is because I'm developing too much fatigue. When I'm developing fatigue, I'm not going to be able to get as close to that weight I want to hit by going maxing out. Now, why can't I get as close? Because my body isn't prepared for that heavy ass weight. Now, if I'm right now going 325, 335, 345, 355, 365, then my body is going to be a lot better primed for that 365 than if I was just maxing out. Maybe then, if I'm just maxing out without slowly ramping it up, I'm only gonna be doing maybe 345. Now, I'm gonna end up going a lot heavier than 365, but the point is that you're not going to be getting as close to that weight if you're just maxing out every session. You're gonna develop fatigue, you never developed momentum before then, so you're not going to hit as heavy of a weight, and you're gonna perform worse on your true max out day. Again, I'm back at the tricep pushdowns. Now, one of the reasons I love doing tricep pushdowns and a lot of tricep work is because on bench, when you're benching like I do, really wide grip and you're arching, your triceps get a lot less flexion, especially if you have shorter arms. Now, that means that your triceps aren't gonna get as much stimulus as you want them getting, even though tricep strength is really gonna help you be more explosive on the bench, even if they're not getting an insane amount of stimulus. So these convert really well to my bench press and give me something to keep my triceps growing and keep them improving, really help me facilitate that heavier, more explosive bench. Now we're doing some tempo dumbbell bench, and the idea of this is just to recruit our stabilizers as much as possible. I'm gonna go for as slow of a descent as possible. I don't want to develop a crazy amount of fatigue from these. That's really what my bench sets are for, doing all 6 of those sets. It's not necessary to develop more fatigue. So I'm just gonna do 50s right now and make sure that tempo is nice and slow, get a stretch, recruit stabilizers, and make sure I'm ready to stabilize that heavy ass weight when I do go for a PR in competition. Workout is complete. I'm gonna real quick do just a little bit of posing. I'm not in the mood to pose a lot, but let's check out the pump real quick. Oh yeah, we're looking pretty good. Pretty striated right now, kinda expected. Always nice when those veins are popping in. Triceps really popping. For some reason, this tricep's a lot better. I don't know why, but it just looks cooler. That's the list for today, but I want to summarize everything I've gone over real quick to make it a little bit more comprehensible. So basically, what you're trying to do is build momentum, increase your lift slowly over time, and not give yourself too much fatigue. Don't get excited and go for a PR too early. go and build momentum, increase your weight every single week by a little bit. It should start off very easy, and it should end up very hard to maintain that same weight you were benching because of that fatigue. Now, when you do decide you're fatigued enough, there's different ways you could determine this, but when you do decide you're fatigued enough, then go ahead and start a reload or a taper. This takes about 2 weeks. First week, you want to cut down on intensity a little bit and volume a little bit. Second week, you maintain that same intensity and cut down on volume almost completely. And then at the end of that second week is when you PR. So I wish you guys luck, boys. And let me know in the comments if you need any clarification on this. God damn, the wind is cold. Remember, perspicacity is our grindstone for success. Keep on grinding, boys.